Hello again, and welcome to another episode of 1001 by 1, where each week we take a film out of the book, 1001 movies you must see before you die, discuss it, analyze it, and ultimately decide whether or not it should be in the book. My name is Adam St. John.
And my name is Britt Reinholdt Hobson. We are missing our third co-host today. Joey was unfortunately unable to join us, which is sad because we are doing a very theater episode. So I apologize to everybody listening. We're probably going to get into the weeds of being theater nerds in this one.
It'll happen.
It absolutely will happen. And today, if you did not know, my friends, we are going to take a streetcar named Desire and then transfer to one called Cemeteries and ride 6 blocks and get off at Elysian Fields, where we will witness the degrading mental state of a Southern belle who's moved into a small apartment with her sister and her brother-in-law. Yes, today we are tackling 1951's A Streetcar Named Desire, which, if you remember back in the draft, was not originally what I had drafted. But I'm going to be honest, I'm really thrilled that this is the movie we're talking about today because, full disclosure, I'd never seen this movie before.
Oh.
And I feel like I'm a better person now that I've seen it. So I'm over the moon excited to talk about it. I have it going on in the background. I don't always do that, but today I do. And I just keep looking over going, God, it's pretty. God, it's a pretty movie to look at.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
But you know, we're going to start with some film recommendations like we usually do. And Adam, by default, you get to go first.
That's very true. And I kind of had a hard time narrowing down what I wanted to recommend. And I understand that the movie that I'm going to recommend might have some trepidation because of the person behind it, but the movie is so closely linked to Streetcar and the lead performance in it is so good that it really has to be talked about. So I'm going to recommend Blue Jasmine, which is written and directed by Woody Allen. But it is such a fun, loose riff on Streetcar I feel like it's appropriate, but also Cate Blanchett, who also has played Blanche before, gives just a really cool performance in this sort of modern day spin on it, where instead of her husband, who in the film version dies for a different reason than in the play, but her husband is Alec Baldwin, who's basically running like a Ponzi scheme, and he goes to jail, and she basically like leaves in disgust, like, ooh, my rich life is gone, and goes to live with her sister, played by Sally Hawkins, who, you know, is in like this small apartment, but she has kids, and there are 2 Stanleys, like Bobby Cannavale is kind of a Stanley, and Andrew Dice Clay is kind of a Stanley.
Everybody's a Stanley.
Yeah, it's not Streetcar, but it's close. And it's the kind of riff on a classic that I like. Like, I do think people should do more of those.
Agreed.
And she's great. I think she earned her second Oscar. So
I agree.
Blue Jasmine,
again, very complicated with the whole Woody Allen of it all. But I do think, like, let's let messy queens be messy queens. And I do feel like Blanche Dubois is the original messy queen. So, like, I'm here for it. I'm here for Cate Blanchett in Blue Jasmine. I'm here for Sally Hawkins in Blue Jasmine. I think they both give just riveting performances. And unfortunately, because Woody Allen is still alive, I feel like it's hard to be like, yeah, just ignore the Woody Allen of it. But they do a really good job in that film. So I respect that. I respect that recommendation. I went I went similar route where I wanted to go with something that's a Southern Gothic, because I do feel like this is straight Southern Gothic. But I wanted to go something a little bit more modern. And I couldn't say no to Sinners by Ryan Coogler, which is a wonderful Southern Gothic with vampires that is streaming on HBO right now. It's so fucking cool, and I just highly recommend it to anybody that wants to watch a killer film. So yeah, it's cool as hell. So go watch Sinners.
Agree. Check it out.
Yeah, those are our two recommends. Great. Okay, so I guess we'll just jump right into a Streetcar Named Desire. Okay, since it's just the two of us, I want to start out. Adam, what was your first introduction to A Streetcar Named Desire? Before we even get into like the accolade, before we get into the normal stuff, we might as well just get into it, right?
This is great. So this tangent, but this is going to be a theater episode, so I just got to go for it. So
get ready, folks. We're getting in the weeds.
When I was an undergraduate theater student, there were basically so there were the 200 level classes, the 300 level classes, and the 400 level classes. And to get into the 200s, which was, base level, you basically just had to sign up on your first day of your first class. You would do an audition that basically cemented your spot, but it wasn't like everybody basically was in. Yeah. And as you went through the series, you had to audition, and each time you went through, the numbers got smaller. And at the time, there was a professor named Jim Lortz, who was infamous that in his 261 class, you would do a scene, you would do a Chekhov scene, you would do a Tennessee Williams scene, and then you would do 2 monologues. And usually they were your choice, but they had to be of that, Chekhov, Ibsen, O'Neill, Arthur Miller, that era.
Yes.
And it was this lore that if you were basically cementing yourself in the program if Jim cast you, and again, and I don't use this term to be like nonchalantly, but if you were cast as Stanley and Blanche in the rape scene in Streetcar, that you were being entrusted with an important scene, and that you had been sort of like you will keep moving on. And myself and a girl named Delisle got that scene when I was in my second year in the program. So I knew who Tennessee Williams was prior to that, but to kind of be thrown in kind of like into the deep end with this scene. But like, it's so funny. And then the year after in my Suzuki and Viewpoints class, we had to do this thing called composition work, where you were given a classic and you had to do a 10 to 12 minute, we would call it a riff on the material. You're not doing a 10 to 12 minute version of the play, but you would interpret it, you would pull themes out, you would do your own thing. And so Streetcar was the next year too. So I kind of on and off have worked on Streetcar a lot. And I've never actually been in it.
Neither have I.
I've on the periphery a bunch.
I've auditioned for it. I've been called back for it, but I've never been in it, which I can understand. I think I jokingly said last episode that I was like, I'd be a great Blanche. And I don't think that's true. I actually don't think I should ever be cast as Blanche. I think, first off, I don't want to play that role. Like, no, I don't want to go to those places. But also every single time I've auditioned and been called back, I've been called back for Stella. And I think that makes sense. I think that is where I would fit into this play. Maybe if I was younger. Now, watching this movie, I was like, I'm Eunice. Like, let's be real. That's fine. I'm totally happy with that. Eunice is my favorite character in the whole show. So, yes, like, cast me as Eunice 100%. But actually, I was called back. We did Closer together. And I was called back for Stella. And I did a lot. I read with everybody for that. But I didn't get cast in that at the company that we were working with, because I ended up getting cast as Alice. And honestly, I think that was a better show. So
listen, I was pretty good friends with the guy who played Stanley. And I think for many reasons, I think Blanche and Stanley were miscast. And I don't think that they're like bad. If they're listening, no. I have nothing against them and all that. But like, I think that the Stanley was way too young.
That's the interesting thing about Stanley, and even Marlon Brando being cast as Stanley. There is a gravitas you need to have in order to really own that role. But I guess let's get into the some film accolades, some casting, all of that before we even get into this. We're already in the weeds of this. That being said, I've never been in the show. I've read it a bunch. I reread it for this. I think it's incredible, honestly. Like it is just a genuinely incredible piece of work that I think we're all lucky to have had the opportunity to read and study in theater school and outside of it. So let's get into it. So Vivian Leigh plays Blanche Dubois. Marlon Brando plays Stanley Kowalski. Kim Hunter plays Stella, and Carl Malden plays Mitch. This was directed by Elia Kazan. The screenplay was by Tennessee Williams. Oscar Saul did the adaptation. It was based on A Streetcar Named Desire, the 1947 play by Tennessee Williams. It was produced by Charles Felden. The cinematography was by Harold Stradling. It was edited by David Weisbart, and the music was by Alex North. Is there anybody else you'd like to shout out?
No, I am glad you got to Alex North and the score. It's very moody. I think it does a good job of both establishing like the jazz New Orleans, but also like just some great moody music, and then like the faint music that she hears from her memory. Like I think sound and score for a non-spectacle film is really utilized well in this.
I think that it's been riffed on so many times, like the really body music, the hearing the music in your head as you're supposedly quote unquote crazy. It's been aped on so many times in many different things over the years, but in rewatching it in this movie, because again, this was the first time that I ever watched it. Gonna be real, we all know this. 1950s, not really my time period that I go back to very often. And I was blown away by it. And I was blown away by how special it felt, how it didn't feel like we were making fun of Blanche anytime we heard the music. It wasn't, it felt very realistic. Like I thought I was a part of her mind. And this movie rocks. I'm sorry, but like this movie really fucking rocks. And I loved it. And if you haven't seen it, stop right now and go watch it, because it is just a beautiful, beautiful film. And Marlon Brando's shorts are so tight. It's kind of wild. For accolades of this was a very highly lauded film. It was up for 10 things at the Oscars. It won Best Actress for Vivian Leigh, Best Supporting Actor for Carl Malden, Best Supporting Actress for Kim Hunter, and Best Production Design, which I 100% agree with. Like the production design in this is absolutely bonkers.
And it's so great. If you do like the minimal amount of research, like the idea that like they kind of slowly moved the set in so it felt more claustrophobic as the film progressed. It's such a cool little touch that something like this needs.
Here's the thing. Art direction for Richard Day and set direction for George James Hopkins would have been my unsung hero had they not won the Oscar, because I think that the claustrophobia that you feel throughout this movie is palpable, and it makes me uncomfortable. I've watched this movie 3 times in the last 5 days, not because I needed to. I could have watched it one time and it would have felt like I had seen it enough, but I wanted to. I wanted to experience it again because it is genuinely that good. Marlon Brando lost Best Actor to Humphrey Bogart.
So this is one of the more bungled years. I do not like An American in Paris. And I'm not anti-musical. I love Singing in the Rain. I love Singing in the Rain. Yeah. I find An American in Paris to be, I'm not going to say it's poorly made, but it's just not, I look at the nominees and I could see an argument for A Place in the Sun, but like, it's so funny because I don't want to tease this yet, but I also had Adam's Literary Corner this week, but not just the play. But like, I'm so excited. It's so funny because yes, this play, Tennessee Williams basically wrote. So how do I get into the Oscar thing? This is okay. I'm gonna circle it. I'm gonna bring it home. So I think the three most famous Tennessee Williams plays are Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Streetcar Named Desire, and Glass Menagerie. Glass Menagerie is about as close to an autobiographical play as you're going to get on Tennessee Williams. Like, he called it a memory play, but it's really about him. I mean, it's about, you know, he works at a shoe factory. He worked at a shoe factory when his dad worked at a shoe factory. His mom was very proper. They did move to Missouri, and the sister, who is kind of who is sort of struck with some shyness and some physical ailments, that is based on his sister, but his sister was also had a promiscuous side to her. And so the character of Blanche is this sort of interesting amalgamation of the prim and proper Southern belle that was his mother, but the promiscuous nature of his sister. So when this play was written, it was written with Blanche really to be like a standout character. Yeah. If you read the initial Broadway reviews and film reviews, it is, who the fuck is this Marlon Brando guy? I mean,
100%.
And so, and he is so good in this movie.
He's so good.
It's so like, this is such an egregious oversight. And I get that Humphrey Bogart didn't win, but you know what? Peter O'Toole never won an Academy Award too. Yeah. Like, some of the greats, Glenn Close still hasn't won an Oscar.
And she should have won a million times over, in my opinion. Like, so incredible.
This making up thing, I'm just not very, very ecstatic about this.
I mean, I don't even really think like do you have any accolades you want to other things you want to go into with it? Like, do you have any reviews you'd like to say other than everybody loves Marlon Brando more than
no?
life
I mean,
itself, basically?
I pulled our good friend Bosley Crowther's review.
Jesus Christ!
But it's he is he's very positive on it. But of course, but the no less brilliant, however, within his area is Marlon Brando in the role of the loud, lusty, brawling, brutal, amoral Polish brother-in-law. Mr. Brando created the role in the stage play, and he carries over all the energy and the steel spring characteristics that made him vivid on the stage. I mean, he enjoyed it. He didn't
say anything really disparaging about women. That's surprising to me.
No, he liked Vivian Lee's performance. He liked Kim Hunter's performance.
He should. Both performances are amazing. What about Eunice, my favorite character, who I will play one day, apparently?
So Eunice stood out to me on this most recent viewing.
Me too.
Her resolve in that last scene is like, it's really important. It's really important that it's not just Blanche's sister, right, who's trying to maintain this level of care and civility. We need somebody else to be like, yeah, you know what? I hear you're going on a trip. You know, it just kind of,
Someone who I feel like I would love somebody to write a new play. That's because we have like plays from Stella and Stanley's perspective later. We have things from Blanche's perspective prior to. What about Eunice's perspective? Can we get a play about Eunice's perspective of everything that is happening? Because I think that would be incredible.
Her and Steve live upstairs. Like,
they live upstairs.
They have an entire arsenal, like a cachet of memories and events that have happened.
Yes, they've heard everything. I mean, how many times do you think she has gone down to get Stella after Stanley has gotten too drunk and beat the crap out of her? Because if he's willing to do it, well, she is obviously within the first like trimester of pregnancy. He's done it any other time. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. Wait. I know we're still, okay. I don't want to, many things.
Dude, this is the problem. This is why we need Joey here to like keep us in line, because this is such a theater heavy episode that we're just going to it's going to be ridiculous. Okay. So, was this film inducted into the National Film Registry?
I mean, yes, it has to.
I wish I could say it was. And it has, yes, in 1999. It absolutely was. Other notable films that year, Laura, prior episode of the show, and your personal favorite film, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's just overrated. I mean, we have to admit that movie is overrated. But
bite your fucking tongue, heathen. It's so good. Do you think that this movie is on the IMDb top 250?
Okay, that is a good question. Okay, I'm going to guess no, because I think there are a few too many idiots who get to vote on that list.
You know what? You're so right. There are too many idiots. And they also don't, there are a very select few movies from like pre 1980, I would say, that get to be on this list. I'm gonna a couple notable ones that I went through while going, why isn't this movie on the IMDb top 250? At 235, we have Hachi, a dog's tale. At 142, we have The Sixth Sense, which, like, let's be real, fun movie. Should it be on IMDb top 250? No. At 131, Shutter Island. Really? At 87, we have Joker.
Yes, well.
And at 78, we have Your Name, which anytime someone finds out I like Japanese films, they go, my God, have you seen Your Name? It's so good. And I just need to go out and little soapbox here. Your Name sucks. It is not a good film. I dislike it so much. And the fact that it is on this list and not A Streetcar Named Desire, I will fight somebody to put this on like IMDb top 250.
It really should be. It's fucking stupid that it's not.
But Hachi, a dog story, or a dog's tale, was the one that I was like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, that's not cool. I don't like that at all.
No, but I just think that kind of some people who vote on the IMDb top 250, they have trash taste. And it's okay. I have trash taste too, but get it together, people. I judge you harshly.
And you should. You should judge them.
Thank you. I did find a list for this episode.
Yes.
Surprisingly. And I'm excited about it because it's from Collider, our personal favorite. And it is the 10 best Southern Gothic films ranked.
Okay.
Because I love a Southern Gothic, and Southern Gothic is obviously very similar to Gothic literature, but it deals less with the sublime and it's more about the issues in the home, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's very specifically American, like Southern United States. So at number 10, personal favorite of mine, Interview with a Vampire from 1994.
You know what's great? I still haven't seen it, and we'll have to for Joey's list. So
yes, you will. You didn't watch it for the 1994 Rev Almanac episode?
It didn't. I just didn't have time. I wanted to get to it. I just didn't have time.
I judge you for that. It's so sexy. Oh my God, I love this movie so much.
I can't wait to be turned on by it. So it'll be great.
At number 9, we have a movie I really dislike, and I'm not sure if you've seen it. 2020's The Devil All the Time.
That movie was that's on the list?
Yes, and I was like, this is kind of a bad movie. Like, I don't think it should be on here. Personally.
No way.
Yes, it is. It's on here. I can share my screen and you can see it.
No. I'm saying no way. It should not be on the list. Like, I'm agreeing with you. Yes.
You're saying I'm lying. I know that's what it is. How dare you, Adam?
You fucking liar.
Always. It's more fun. At number 8, we have 1997's Eve's Bayou, which I believe we've talked about before briefly. I really like Eve's Bayou, but I also think it's a difficult movie to recommend to people. Like, some of it works really well and some of it's just too hard to grasp onto.
I understand that. I think some of it works really well and some of it just doesn't. It just didn't quite click. It looks great. I want to say I wish I loved it, but I would say I like it.
Yes, I agree. I like it. I think it's worth checking out, but I'll just know you got to just go along for the ride with that one. At number 7, we have 2017's The Beguiled by Sofia Coppola, which I'm going to be honest, I never watched.
It's okay.
But I think I'd like it. I think it seems like something I'd get into, but it just never came up to me. At 2013, this one I find really interesting is Park Chan-wook's Stoker, which I don't think is very good. I love Park Chan-wook, and it's just not my favorite.
It's Park Chan-wook, and Bong Joon-ho, and honestly, and I'll throw in Guillermo del Toro. Like, I think they work best when they are working in their native language. I think that there's just something that really clicks. Stoker is kind of a misfire.
I agree. I think these people need to watch more Southern Gothic films. I'm not sure.
I feel like they just made a list of the first 10 they found. You know what I mean?
They were like, they Googled it and thought, yeah, maybe that'll work just fine. At number 5, we have 1960s The Young One, which I have not seen, but it is a Louis Buñuel film.
Okay, cool.
It's a surrealist Southern Gothic film. So I'm interested. I really like Buñuel for the most part. At number 4, we have Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte from 1964, which is a Robert Aldrich film with Betty Davis and Olivia de Havilland. So I'm absolutely in.
Got some big names.
Yeah, huge names. At number 3, I genuinely think this is the first time I've ever seen Jennifer Lawrence, and I thought her performance was pretty phenomenal. And this is 2010's Winter's Bone.
So I'd like that movie too. That feels more Appalachia to me, is it not?
But I think that the Appalachian films can also be Southern Gothic because
then there you go.
Because of the fact that it usually deals with a dilapidated home where the family structure has been degraded, and you're trying to either gain back something that you previously had, or you're stuck within this structure and can't get out of it. So I think that Winter's Bone does exist in Southern Gothic for that reason.
Cool. I like it too.
Yeah. At number 2, we have A Streetcar Named Desire from 1951. I did not choose one without A Streetcar Named Desire. There were a couple, and I was like, what are you fucking doing?
I'm curious what's coming in at 1.
I'm okay. I wonder if you can choose. I wonder if you can figure it out, because I was pretty excited by it.
Oh boy.
I will say it's a previous episode of the pod.
Well, now it's going to be silly when I can't get it right.
I wouldn't have gotten it unless I saw this, and I was very excited.
I don't know.
1955 black and white film.
Oh, Night of the Hunter.
Yes, Night of the Hunter is number 1, and I was like, yeah, that's fair. I accept that over A Streetcar Named Desire. But honestly, between the two, I was like, beautiful films. Yes. Solid choices. I'm absolutely a fan. I would say that I think Night of the Hunter is prettier to look at. Like just shot wise. And that's why I think that's number 1, because it has that picturesque Southern Gothic idea, whereas A Streetcar Named Desire takes place in basically an apartment.
Yeah.
Not quite as pretty to look at, though incredible production design. They won an Oscar, so it was worth it. I usually do a plot, but I didn't for this one because I didn't feel the need to. What I can say is, like, Blanche loses Belle-Reve in the South, so she goes to live with her sister and Stanley, who she considers lesser than her because he's Polish, and she is kind of losing it, and she and Stanley don't get along very well, and everything breaks down.
Yep.
The family system breaks down, and it's tragic. So that's basically what this movie's about, and go watch it, because I just think you should watch this movie. That's how I feel. Okay. Let's get into it. Adam, you're like, I'm putting a pin in this, pin in this, pin in this. So I'm going to let you start.
So I think the first thing that I put a pin in, and it's interesting because I'm wondering, given how many times I've read this, how many times I've seen this, we talked about like how many times has Eunice comforted Stella in a when Stanley's been drunk and stupid and possibly hit her before. It's interesting because not every scene in the play has Blanche in it, right? And in fact, there'll be moments where Blanche is soaking in a hot tub and we hear Stanley and Stella have a conversation. So it's not just from Blanche's perspective. So part of me wonders, how many times have Stella and Stanley fought in the past prior to Blanche's arrival? Now, Stanley is a bit more common than maybe the way that Stella and Blanche were brought up. But to hear Stella talk about him and their relationship, like, is it love? Is it lust? Is it both? But I do wonder how much of the behavior that we see from Stanley is kind of, irked on with Blanche's arrival. Now, we do see, I mean, at least in the film version, Stanley like almost get into a fight at a bowling alley. So we know that he's short-tempered. Not almost.
He's in a fight at a bowling alley. Yes. And she's like, look at my body, man. He's going at it. It's hot, right? And Blanche is like,
yes. And so I do wonder, like, how much, what has happened between Stella and Stanley prior to Blanche's arrival?
I think that depends on the interpretation of Stanley, personally. I think it could go either way. I think Marlon Brando's interpretation of Stanley, he's abusive. I think he hits her more often than we see. And it goes back to a moment where, she's like, oh, he's really aggressive, whatever. He grabs her very violently when he's going through the case. And she says, like, ouch, you're hurting me. And it doesn't faze him whatsoever. And honestly, it doesn't really faze her. So in my interpretation of her in this movie and in Marlon Brando's version of this character is he is abusive. Now, I think that it could go either way if you were reading the script. I think there's a very good chance that you could have a Stanley who is only brought to blows, who's only brought to this heightened level because his life has been infiltrated by somebody that he is either cannot get along with or is so much like him that it irks him. And that's, I think, where with that, that's what I think. But this Stanley is an abusive piece of shit. That's what I gain from this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the more playable action is that he is, and I agree. I think that Brando plays a very, very aggressive character. Like him being pissed off because his sister-in-law, who may or may not, from his perspective, be jilting him out of money through the Napoleonic Code that he wants to tell us about so many times, is one thing. But like, when he clears the table, right, when he throws his shit off, and like just the way that he kind of like anything can be thrown on the floor, anything can be broken, anything is just sort of like it doesn't matter. So I do think that he is. But I just think it's interesting when when he's talking to her, like, things will be the way that they were before. I do think things were better, whatever that word might mean for Stanley and Stella, but better, it doesn't necessarily mean good.
It doesn't mean good. It just means that maybe they were less loud about it. Though the way that Eunice comes down, like, immediately, as soon as it gets rowdy, like Eunice comes down and grabs Stella, makes me think she's been down here many times before. I feel like Eunice is my unsung hero. I had somebody else for the unsung hero, but fuck it. It's going to be Eunice because I think she's awesome in this play. And I think she's awesome in this movie. The few times she's on screen, I just think she's she's a character you can hone in on. So fuck it. Eunice for unsung hero, Eunice for president, I guess. But she comes down immediately to grab her and is like, nope, we're going upstairs. And she is not scared of Stanley, which makes me think that she's been in that situation before and she's trying to get somebody else out of it. And she knows Stella's not going to leave him yet, but she is putting herself in between them. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, good for you. I respect you so much. I'll cast me as Eunice, please. I don't want to be anybody else, just Eunice.
So many things. So I think it's important to note for anybody who is unfamiliar that a ton of the original Broadway cast moved over, right? Marlon Brando, Carl Malden, Kim Hunter, and Stephen Eunice. And we didn't say their names at the beginning. Rudy Bond and Peg Hillius.
Peg Hillius, unsung hero forever.
Yeah. Now, Jessica Tandy was the original Blanche on Broadway. She did not get great reviews.
No, she didn't.
And the story behind Vivien Leigh is interesting too, because she only did it in London because her then husband, Laurence Olivier, was basically like, we're going to do this because I by all accounts, he didn't think she was that great in the play. And I guess they tried to, Sir Laurence Olivier suggested all of these cuts and rewrites and edits, and Tennessee Williams was like, well, no, you're going to ruin the play if you do that. They did it anyway. And so Vivien Leigh's performance was also a little not overly receptive because of the different interpretations of a British production doing this Southern
Gothic
play.
Yeah.
But then Vivien Leigh coming in as Blanche is a really cool, interesting thing because she is the outsider. And her being the one person who didn't really transfer from the Broadway production is sort of such a great happy accident because she is on the outside. She is on the periphery trying to break into this world. And it's something that you can't plan for, but I think works really well in this film.
I totally agree. And it's not only that she's, like a British actor coming in with this cast that came from Broadway. They also were very much of method acting, like Stanislavski acting, whereas she was a classically trained British actor who did Shakespeare, that was her bread and butter. So it's like, even in the film, you can see there basically Blanche is in a different world acting wise than every other character. And most of the time that will not work. And in this movie, it is basically perfect.
It almost can only work when you have two different, there's so many things that the play is about, but there's a ton of class stuff here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This old Southern money and proper, ways of upbringing. And then you've got
proper
Stanley.
White characters, right?
Yes.
Like there's a huge part of like the segregation within white society, even, which is so
absolutely
fucked up. Like
and so her very proper way of talking and the amount of dialogue that Marlon Brando gives with food in his mouth is it's insane. And so if you're doing a different movie or a different story, it won't work. But because it is these worlds colliding, it totally does. And it works brilliantly.
There is one shot at the beginning of this film when it's literally the first shot of the film, and it's not my favorite shot of the film, but it almost was, where there's a bridal party that's like running past into the smoke, and then all of the sudden we see Blanche come through. And it almost feels like she's a spirit coming from nowhere. And I was like, oh, in any other play, Blanche might actually be a ghost. Like in this, she's a very real person. But the way that she is just presented makes her feel like she doesn't belong to this world, makes it feel like she is a part of something different. And I think that's like such an incredible shot, an incredible setup for that character, because it differentiates her. It makes us realize Blanche is not like everybody else. And then coupled with Vivien Leigh's performance, which I think is just top notch, one of the best performances I think I've ever seen. It's stunning. Unfortunately, really fucked her up in the long run. Like absolutely did. But it's incredible work. One of the greatest things I've ever seen. I just think it was the perfect casting. It couldn't have been anybody else. Because she made the movie about Blanche. Even though Marlon Brando's so good in this, it's still a movie about Blanche.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Which it needs to be. It absolutely needs to be.
So two things. I've seen this before, and it's hard to, I guess, kind of feel the same emotional connection to it, only because like I've read it so many times, I've seen it so many times.
Oh yeah.
And this time I full disclosure, I had to watch this on my phone in a hotel room because plans changed. Yeah. But oh my God, when she has her breakdown at the end, and it's one of those things where it works on a couple of levels. Just her commitment to it. It's like, it's honestly scary. I don't. Sometimes I feel like you see somebody have an emotional break like that in a movie, and it can feel either too little or too much. But after you've seen kind of everything that she's gone through, it feels so earned, both in the storytelling but in the performance. Like, it's such a buyable thing. But even like when they were shooting it, they must not have been known, because one of the cutaway, the camera doesn't even, like, it's a little like the camera doesn't know where to go.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like a mistake, but I like that they kept it because it adds to the chaos of that moment.
Yes.
But I wanted to expand upon the fact that this stuck with Vivien Leigh for a while, and that it fucked her up.
Yeah.
So one of the cool things about being in academia is sometimes you just get shit for free. And sometimes you don't even know how or why. So my first week teaching here, I got there was a box in my office, and I asked my former colleague, and I was like, do you know where this came from? He's like, no, but my name was on it. And there was a book inside with a letter, and it said, "Dear Professor, I've enclosed a copy of Nansen Schoenberger's Blanche, The Life and Times of Tennessee Williams' Greatest Creation, for you to consider for your upcoming courses." And I was teaching theater history at the time, and I was actually actively in the Glass Menagerie when this happened. But I was like, I have no idea where this came from or why. And I didn't know when I would get a chance to actually read this. And then we picked Streetcar. So I read this, and what's really cool is that it has a good introduction about Tennessee Williams and his sister Rose. So if you know nothing about the guy and you know nothing about his life, it gives you enough of a solid base to know what's going on. And then they talk about different women who have performed the part. So Jessica Tandy, Vivien Leigh, Anne Margaret, Jessica Lange, Patricia Clarkson, Kate Blanchett, and Jameer Jenkins. And it's a little bit about all of them and how they approached it. Almost all of them talked about how hard it was to let this go at the end. And a few of them only like Anne Margaret, I think, did it for TV. Like, I don't think that she even did like the actual, like, the run of the show. But even then, it took a while for them to drop it, to lose it, because it is such a tough part to play. Really, but a really fun read. And really cool just to hear about some of the different castings of this. The one with Jessica Lange was Jessica Lange as Blanche, Alec Baldwin as Stanley. I want to say it was Diane Lane. Diane Lane as Stella, and John Goodman as Mitch.
Okay, John Goodman would be an incredible Mitch. I
will say I ran out of time, but the Anne Margaret and Jessica Lange version, they are on YouTube if anybody is interested in watching them. So they do exist.
See, so I saw that book existed, and I wanted to read it, but I didn't. So now I'm going to go back and read it because I just didn't have time. Full disclosure, it's Christmas. And
yeah,
we all have lives. But I really wanted to read that book. That's so cool. Also, that's really like just neat that you get things for free. People can send me free things about movies all the time. I'd accept them.
I really have. But it was the strangest thing. And then I was like, well, that's really cool. But I just was never sure when I would get a chance to read it. And so perfect opportunity.
I love that. Blanche is such an interesting character. Okay. Let's ask hard questions, right?
Yep.
A lot of people would say that Blanche is a victim, and I do think that she is. There are a lot of things that have happened in her life that are horrible that have put her into the place that she is. Blanche also is kind of a predator, right? Like,
yes.
Okay, people can have dualities. She could be a predator and she can be a victim at the same time. But I think that's something that we kind of forget in a lot of portrayals of Blanche when people talk about it. And how do you feel about Vivien Leigh's portrayal of that portion of Blanche's life in this movie.
So
this is a very tough subject matter to discuss. Like a full disclosure, everyone, we're talking about like abuse of children at this point. So just
yes, so I think her portrayal is fine. It's hard to not answer that question without referring to the changes that were made because of the Hays Code.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Because I think they toned down that, like she, she had a relationship with her student and was basically shamed out of town. I mean, that's basically what happened. There are two other pretty big changes that I'm sure we'll talk about. But I think that I actually think that the movie, because of the restrictions of the time, doesn't go as far as the play does. And I
absolutely agree.
I would have liked to have seen the stage version and kind of them address it a little more head on, just to kind of see it. I will say though, there is so much happening behind Vivien Leigh's eyes that it's like, and you mentioned her emerging through the steam in the very beginning of the movie, and she already feels so lost. And in a way, I feel like she's doing her best to almost like formulate and go over exactly what she's gonna say to Stella when she sees her. Yeah. And it's so funny. Stella, I mean, obviously knows she's coming, but she's so caught off guard by the like, and she's like, I'm sure you're gonna ask me. And I don't think Stella was gonna ask her anything.
No.
Like, Stella is the kind of sister who would just be like, I don't know what happened, but you're here. I'm glad you're here, and we'll move forward.
I mean, there's an estrangement there, right? Because she's been gone for 10 years, which makes Stella like, how old so Stella is 25 in the actual play, and Blanche is supposed to be 27. All right. So Stella left 10 years before. So she was like a 15-year-old girl going out on her own, which just from context makes you think something was going on back home. Like something very intense was happening that Stella just was not going to be a part of that life anymore. And I'm kind of shocked that she even would agree to have Blanche near her, since there was that estrangement. And you think, what is Stella? I read an article where they said that the real villain of A Streetcar Named Desire is Stella, because she chooses not to address anything. And I don't agree with that at all. I was like, how dare you? My girl Stella, don't do that to her. She's the other than Eunice, my unsung hero, she's the heart of the show. I feel like she's the person who keeps people as centered as possible. So calling her a villain, I think, is totally unacceptable.
That's a wild take.
It's a wild take. It's a bad take. But I also think that acknowledging the fact that because she wasn't going to ask anything, I think Stella just pushes everything behind her for the most part. So then when the ending comes in the movie, which I think we can probably talk about now, whatever, we're jumping around. I don't know how I feel about her at the end leaving Stanley, because I think it kind of undermines what the play is trying to say. And again, Hays Code,
Yes, I absolutely agree. And it's and just to like let's like clear it up. In the play, in the film, Blanche is taken away and Stanley goes to talk to Stella, and she's like, you don't get to touch me again. And she holds her baby and she's like, well, never going back, never again. And in a way, that's the whole, like, the villain's not going to get away with it.
Yes.
We can bypass the Hays Code because Stella is going to leave Stanley.
They had to make concessions.
In the play, that is absolutely not what happens.
He fondles her breasts at the end.
Stella is a mess and doesn't leave. The very last line of the play is Steve going, the game is 7-card stud.
Yeah.
Blackout. That's the end.
Literally, and right before that, there is a line which says that Stanley unbuttons the top buttons of Stella's like outfit, which is just how.
Yeah. He kneels beside her and his fingers find the opening of her blouse.
Yes. He fondles her as she's sobbing, holding their child, and she is reticent to what's happening. And that is the point that this will continue. And it's unfortunate. I think it's really amazing that Elia Kazan was able to keep in, I'm sorry, this is crude, but the rape scene, because they wanted to cut that as well. And he said, that will undermine everything. If you take that out, we can't do this show if you don't have that power dynamic. But we will concede with having Stella leave him instead for the Hays Code. And I just wish they hadn't, because it does fundamentally change what the show is about. And I mean, I'm glad Stella gets out in this version. Like, good, but we know that's not true. Like,
there's one. So and again, I'm going to refer to this as the rape scene, because I think in circles, scene 11 is the rape scene. That's just how it's referred to. There's one line that gets taken out, and it actually, now what Stanley does, obviously, it's terrible. But by removing this one line, it actually makes the act a little less damaging. So she breaks the bottle, she goes to stab him, he grabs her, and what so he still says, "You want some roughhouse? All right, let's have some roughhouse. Tiger, drop the bottle, drop it." But the one line they keep out is, "We've had this date with each other from the beginning," implying that this was always something that was going to happen. Yeah. He was going to have his way with her at some point. Which, and again, it's like, does the film ultimately need it? But it's such a diabolical thing that Stanley says in the play.
I actually think that it does. And again, I think this movie is incredible. I think this movie is amazing. It could be better if we had it in there, because I think one of the most important things about this is that we need to remember that for the most part, and I'm so sorry, like trigger warnings all around, but we have to talk about this. Rape is not for sexual pleasure. Rape is for control. And in this moment, I do believe that throughout the whole play, we're seeing this control of Stella. And this power struggle between the two of them, because each of them want to be the most important person in Stella's life. And for me in this moment, this is him saying, I am going to not only break you, but I'm going to break your control over Stella. Like, you're never going to be able to take Stella away from me again. And this is how this is my dominance over you. And I just feel like that's so important for what is happening, that taking it out is just kind of undermining what the scene is. That's how I read the scene, at least. And I think it's undermining it. I think it makes it less impactful and less devastating, and more of just like, it makes him seem more like a brute. And Stanley's not just a brute. That's the whole point.
Yes. It almost makes it feel like it wasn't planned, that it was spur of the moment.
Yes, and it wasn't. He was planning this from the beginning. From the moment he walks in, gives her a cigarette. Yeah.
Yep. So I had a teacher in grad school. Bruce Burgun, great guy. And when I took his class and we were doing Meisner stuff, and we didn't do Streetcar, but we did a ton of stuff with Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And he was a big fan of Tennessee Williams. And he would talk about a moment in this movie where he's like, because part of Meisner is that you're so into the character, but you're also so connected with your scene partner that if they do something slightly different, that you're going to pick up on that every little thing is just the next impulse to follow. And there's a wonderful, and he pointed this out to me, and I can now not watch this movie without thinking about this moment. So it's the scene where Stanley and Stella are going through the trunk, right? And he's like, where are all your fine fox fur pieces and stuff? And
it's a plated gold dress. Yeah.
Yes. And so, he's throwing stuff and she's picking it up. And there's a moment where they're having a conversation and they just, the boa has like been thrown down and there's all these pieces floating in the air. And he's talking to her and he's having the conversation and he sees a floating piece and he just kind of like tries to pluck it out of the air and then he does it and he keeps going on. And it's this small thing that means nothing to the play, but it's everything to the performance. Yes. And it's so like, there's one thing to be over rehearsed and to have your blocking feel stilted and your performances feel like, I'm just going through the motions, but to have done an entire Broadway run of the show and to be on set, who knows how many days this was into shooting, but to still find those things where it's just like, I'm going to try to get this one fuzz that's floating in the air. It's such a cool little acting moment that really showcases what I think like the actor's studio was all about.
Well, I 100% agree. That's one of my favorite moments in the movie. I love those tiny things. And I think that's why, for me, rehearsals are so important, because I know there are a lot of actors, especially in film, especially nowadays, that are like, I don't want to rehearse. I just want to go in and, feel it at the time. For me, I need to know the scene so well that I can do it without thinking about it. Because if I'm thinking about what I want to do next, I can't be in the moment. Whereas, and if you're thinking about it and something different happens, that'll throw me in 2 seconds. Like, full disclosure, if I don't know the scene well enough and something weird happens, I'm out of it. Whereas if I know it so well that I don't even have to think about that, you can find those moments. And that's where I just don't believe you can over rehearse something. Like, I really don't. I think you keep doing it until you're bored of it, until you don't have to consider it. That's why I'm very big on Grotowski work, because it's all about exhausting yourself to the point where you can't think about it anymore. And once you're to that point, that's when you start the work. And that always works for me. And so in that moment when he did that, we're at the Milk Boy scene and it's so creepy. I have it going on in the background and it's just, God. But in that moment where, like, you were talking about the Meisner work, I felt that way too, where he had rehearsed it so many times that he didn't have to worry about it. He was like, oh yeah, there's floating things. That's not going to throw me. I can just feel like, would Stanley grab this? Yeah, he probably would. I love those moments as an actor. Rehearsals are a good thing, everybody. Rehearse. It will make you a better performer, I promise. So milkman scene. Oof.
I'm going to make you speak on behalf of all female actors.
Great, no problem.
Is Blanche like our Hamlet? Do you know what I mean by that? Like, is it the performance that like everybody wants to do? And I'm being hyperbolic because I know not everybody wants to be Hamlet, not everybody wants to be Blanche, but like the one, like in this book, like the recurring thing, especially for like maybe Patricia Clarkson on, and like a couple of decades of Blanche being in our lives and this role being so personified. I'm just like, because Shakespeare, like he wrote some good female parts, but like there's no female Hamlet in his time, right? So I mean,
there's Lady Macbeth, but
then she's outshined by Macbeth.
Exactly.
So it's like I'm just wondering, like, is there a more sought after and or iconic theater role than Blanche Dubois?
I mean, I would say no. I think Blanche is pretty much up there. Blanche, or even like Hedda from.
I was actually thinking Nora from A Doll's House, but Ibsen's in there too. Yeah.
No, Nora. Those are the first three that I really thought of. That I thought, yeah, those are the top ones. That I don't know if you have that on your resume. You fucking good for you. That's
well, and especially at a reputable theater. You know, yes. I mean, that's gonna.
But I also, with the way that theater is nowadays, I do feel like the people who are getting those roles are the ones who are like, I'm going to help produce this as long as I can play this role.
Well, and that, you know, I just saw over the weekend, Marty Supreme, and I'll leave my thoughts aside. I mostly liked it, but what I didn't know going in was that Timothée Chalamet was a producer on it. I should have just assumed it, but like you see it behind behind mid-tier budgets, but like big showcasey things, right? Jessica Chastain won her Oscar for Eyes of Tammy's Faye. She was a producer on it. Like, and I think that's happening more and more now. Actors are getting smarter about.
Emma Stone was a producer on Poor Things, and she won an Oscar. But I'm going to be real, she fucking deserved that. So
but like the good actors are the smart ones, and they know who to work with, and they know where the parts are. They do.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I do worry about that just a little bit, because I think like the actors who are getting the big roles, they're great, whatever, that's fine. But for every great actor, there is another great actor who's never going to be given the opportunity to do it because they don't even have a chance to audition for that role, right? Like there are plenty of places where I'm getting back into the theater scene here in Seattle, which you cannot make a living at, which is fine, whatever. I'm finding small groups that I'm enjoying working with. But I got really lucky in that I got in with some people who like me and want to invite me to callbacks and stuff. But the bigger houses, they have their own core group of people that they want to work with, and it's really hard to get in there. And I think like I absolutely respect people who are producing their own thing so that they can have the opportunity to play the roles that they want to. Like, fuck yeah, go for it. But I also just wish we had more of an opportunity for other people to audition for that, because you might have the best Blanche Dubois sitting in the wings and you wouldn't know because you didn't even give that person an opportunity to read for it. And I think that's a bit of a problem. I think we need to, let's give people more of a shot, man. We don't want to see the same 10 people on stage every day or on the screen. Produce and sit behind the stage. Give somebody else a chance. Except for Emma Stone. Agree. Do whatever you want, queen of my life. I love you. No, I do think Blanche is up there. Blanche is absolutely one of the tops. What would you say, like I don't like, leaving Shakespearean ones aside, what do you think is the male equivalent or the masculine presenting equivalent?
I think there's a few from, and what's interesting is that you've got a few from this era that actually you could play at different times, right? I mean, you've got Stanley, you've got Brick in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is so good. You've
got Biff or Willie in Death of a Salesman.
Yeah.
And then, I'm trying to think if there's any, Chekhov's plays were so big that you can't really go to him. And I actually think that Ibsen did a really good job of writing women.
I love Ibsen's my personal favorite. Like big surprise that I'm a big Ibsen girl, but Ibsen is like my top.
He's great. I think of of this era, maybe a part that we actually did this play when I was an undergrad. It's very long. But like it's a meaty part. I would love to play Hickey in The Iceman Cometh, which is just like a behemoth. It's a massive play.
You would be so good in that though.
And that would be one. But like as I get older, like it'd be cool. Like I would love, like in like 15 or so years, I forget how old the characters are. I would love to be George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I would love to play that.
Here's the thing. I would also love to be in that, but I'm never going to get cast in that, like ever. That's just not my thing. But I would love to be in that play.
You know what? We'll mount it here. We'll just do it here.
Sounds good. I promise. Hey, we have played. We have been on stage together, and I think we have great chemistry. We did really well. Our scenes were great when we did Closer.
The only person I really didn't act with in that, I guess no, I had scenes with everybody. That's untrue. I had at least a full scene with everybody in the play.
Yeah. The one I always think of, so I really love Strindberg as well. I'm a big Strindberg fan.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I always wanted to be the title character of Miss Julie.
Oh, I would say Miss Julie. Yeah, that's...
Miss Julie is another one. But I feel like I'm aged out of Miss Julie. Let's be real. Miss Julie is...
That's a wild play.
It's the power dynamics in Miss Julie are absolutely bonkers. And
they're all over the place.
I don't know if I've ever seen it successfully done. to the point where I feel like it's successful. Because
it's a great read.
Yeah, it's a great read. I don't know how to. I guess I would love to be maybe. I don't want to be the director because I'm not. I don't know if I trust myself. Maybe a co-director on that. To try to make it work. You know,
Yeah.
I want it to work. God, I love Strindberg. You fucking batshit crazy stuff in Strindberg, but I love it. We could mail that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
We have so many options. So many options.
We really do. We really do.
Do you have a favorite Tennessee Williams?
So I do think it's Streetcar. I've played Tom in Glass Menagerie, which I like the play. I don't love it. It's not a hair flip thing at all. Trust me. But it was funny. It was in grad school. I did 3 scenes from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, in that Meisner class. And that was what my teacher for that class, was like. That was working on Brick is when he said I came alive. And so I have a fondness for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, a film that is also heavily affected by the Hays Code.
Yes.
Which means we should bring in. Okay, so there's a moment in the movie where we find out that Blanche's former husband, who was a younger man, took his own life. But in the movie, it's because she called him out. It said that he would never amount to anything.
Weak. Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just read a little bit of what Blanche actually says.
I think that's a good idea.
And I think I know that we're working within the Hays Code, but this is okay. I think this is important that this was taken out. There was something different about the boy, a nervousness, a softness, and tenderness which wasn't like a man's. Although he wasn't the least bit effeminate looking, still, that thing was there. He came to me for help. I didn't know that. I didn't find out anything till after our marriage when we'd run away and come back, and all I knew was I'd failed him in some mysterious way and wasn't able to give the help he needed but couldn't speak of. He was in the quicksands and clutching at me, but I wasn't holding him out. I was slipping in with him. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything except I loved him unendurably, but without being able to help him or help myself. Then I found out, in the worst of all possible ways, by coming into a room that I thought was empty, which wasn't empty, but had 2 people in it. The boy I had married and an older man who had been a friend of his for years. So it comes out that her husband was gay. And that in terms of being found out, and this all happens at the Moonlight Casino, it's the same location, and he does take his own life in that moment, but it's so, and it's just kind of yada yada in the movie. It's like, It sucks. I love the movie. And I think the only parts I don't like are the parts where they really veer from the script. It's that depth of backstory and character that it's just like, oh man, it's like, oh.
I think that's the difference between seeing Blanche as this, because she abused people in both the script and in the movie. She abused young men. But in the script, the way with that saying like I failed him, whatever, it makes it feel more like she is trying to recapture this person that I think she truly loved and trying to save them in her own twisted way. Not saying that what she does is okay. It's absolutely not okay.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Not okay at all. But that's from even that, that sentence saying like, I somehow, I wasn't able to help him and I didn't know why I failed him in some way. So her being attracted to younger men is her way of trying to figure out what happened. Whereas in the movie, it's just a perversion. Yeah. And that just takes away a layer of Blanche. It takes away this really whereas in the movie, she's extremely complicated. Like Vivien Leigh, Jesus Christ, hats off to you. What an incredible performance. But taking that out because of the Hays Code is a disservice to the script. It's a disservice to what Tennessee Williams was trying to get at and trying to show about specifically Southern women and these what they get caught in in the South, right? Like it's very specific, and fuck the Hays Code. Why would you do that? Censorship is stupid.
Well, and not that, I mean, because here's the thing, like there's so much to talk about, not just with the play, but everything surrounding it. I did rewatch the clip of Elia Kazan winning his honorary Oscar.
I didn't.
So Elia Kazan, which you might know this, but listeners might not. So he named names, HUAC. So even though he thought he was naming the names of people who had already been outed during McCarthyism and in the Red Scare, he was basically like kind of outcast after he did that. And this is the guy who, Elia Kazan directed the original Broadway productions of Streetcar, of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, All My Sons, Death of a Salesman. Like he's there with the group theater. Marlon Brando doesn't win here, but 3 years later, when Elia Kazan directs On the Waterfront, he then wins his Oscar.
Yep.
So then he names names. He's kind of outcast. In 1999, Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro present his honorary Oscar, and people start clapping, and the camera starts cutting around, and you've got people standing, and it's a slow, like people slowly stand up, but there is a cutaway to Ed Harris and Amy Madigan sitting down, and they are just like, fuck this guy. There are people who are noticeably like, yeah, we never forget, fucker. And it's a really awkward moment. Roman Polanski won Best Director a few years later, and everybody seemed okay with it. But like, they were so, like the actors in the room were like, nope, I'm not standing there clapping for this guy. It was wild. It's a wild clip.
We're gonna clap for Roman Polanski, who's a rapist.
That's what I'm like. And I'm not saying that like he should be forgiven.
Oh, no, yeah, like, yeah, absolutely.
It's a wild clip. I think you should find it, because I
will.
A few people are just angry, just very, very angry.
You're allowed to be angry, but also if you stood for Roman Polanski, then I have questions.
Hard agree there.
Sorry, but I'm always going to have questions for that. I do think he should have won for this movie, though. I think the direction of this is really great.
It's a little like, George Stevens won for A Place in the Sun. Which is good. I mean, I'm definitely glad it didn't go to An American in Paris, which actually I'm not even sure was nominated. To me, this is a little like,
it was
fantastic. I would have loved if Elia Kazan had won. But it's a little like Sidney Lumet directing 12 Angry Men. I think we can look back now and go, the way in which you have to frame and stage everything in tight quarters is something that we can look at now, but it's not showy directing.
No, it's not showy directing at all.
Which we don't really reward at the Academy. So I'm not surprised he didn't win, but it would have been cool if he did.
But it is kind of showy because they're in such cramped spaces.
Yes, but there's no like tracking shots. There's no dolly shots.
Yes,
there's
fair.
like, it's not shot in CinemaScope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We still got a couple years before Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, when everyone's like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Can you imagine if this just had tracking shots and like fly-throughs and
it would be wild.
It would be really weird. I like it as is. God, this movie is cool. What's your favorite shot of this film?
Okay, so my favorite shot is scene 11. It's the very end where they're fighting and they cut to the mirror breaking.
God,
and then you can, I know it's superimposed, but then you can see like Blanche like kind of past that. It's really cool, and it's a good cut. And there's so much about reflections and how you're seen throughout the entire movie that when we finally end with this broken mirror, it's like it's a metaphor, and it's an earned metaphor that happens in a moment where it totally makes sense. In this struggle, it would happen. So a lot comes together there. I just love that shot.
It really mirrors the beginning when she goes into the bowling alley and she's walking through looking for Stella, and you see her in the mirror, her trying to keep herself together. I totally agree. That was in contention for me. Mine is, we haven't really talked about Mitch, but I think Mitch is really good in this movie. I think he's one of the only, because I've watched this, like, I've watched quite a few productions just like on YouTube, because why not? I like watching plays, even though I feel like plays don't translate as well that way. But I still want to watch them because I might never have an opportunity to. During COVID, I watched a lot because I was like, maybe we'll never get out of COVID. And I feel like this Mitch actually hates his mom. And I think that's a really important part about Mitch in the story, is Mitch hates his mom. I just truly think that's very important. And a lot of Mitches that I've watched are like, oh, I got to go back to my mom. And there's no desperation in there. And I'm like, no, give me a desperate Mitch. I think that works so much better. Mitch in this movie is great. Earned the Oscar. I think he's awesome. And there is a moment right before, it's basically scene 11. I mean, that's my scene of the movie, scene 11. We all know that. Like, it's just so incredible. It's electric. But my favorite shot is Mitch basically breaks open the door and he comes through, and Blanche is there too. And he's towering over her. Like, it's the first time we've seen them just straight on in the same frame without one of them kind of like holding the other or looking like, you know, somehow Blanche is larger than him, even though there's no way it could be possible. And the fabric is just fluttering around, and it's like a transition to, oh, this is the end. This is absolutely the end. And it's the first time we see them on the same level, and it's just a beautiful shot. Like, the framing of it is perfect. And I really, really like that moment because Mitch is very angry, and I don't think he has any right to be very angry, but I also think, like, it's so well done. Like, just such a well done scene, such a well done shot. Vivian Leigh, the way that her voice changes in that scene terrifies me, because she has the like, oh, I'm a Southern belle. I'm trying to get to the streetcar named Desire to go to cemetery. And then all of a sudden it just drops down when she's talking about all the men that have come to her plantation, all the soldiers. Oh, God, it's so good. And then, of course, like I said, my favorite scene is scene 11. It's electric. It's that power struggle is terrifying. It's so good. Masterclass. Yeah. Like, just go watch it. Yeah. If you want to be an actor, go watch it. Be like, I'll probably never get a chance to do that, because I know I won't. It's just too good.
I realized too, inadvertently, it's really fitting that we're talking about this play in here. So this is my office. Instead of having my movies behind me, this is my play wall there.
I love it.
So this is my theater space.
What's your favorite play on the play wall?
Oh, I mean, Jesus. I mean, probably. I'm very, very biased. But I've, gun to my head right at this moment, the Pillowman.
Pillowman's incredible.
So
I love Pillowman. Pillowman's one of my favorite ever. I'd love to be in Pillowman. I don't know who he'd play. It's basically an all-male cast, but I
have seen a production of Pillowman where Ariel, who is the younger of the cops, is a female.
I saw that too. Was it at Western?
Oh my God, you saw that production?
Yeah.
It was not a good show. No. It was not. It was really bad.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm not sure I'll ever be in that. But
yeah, and I there was a bunch of young, and produce your own work, and it was a bunch of young actors who weren't getting cast in like the season shows, and they did it. It was not successful. But I guess you could do it.
I don't think I should be cast in it. I want to be cast in it, but I think I'm good. I'll just go watch it and clap and hope that they give people proper aprons. Because that's important. You need a butcher's apron to make it.
Alicia directed that production that I was in.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things that she did was that we ended the show and we left and we never came out. We never did a curtain call. We just left the stage.
Good. You shouldn't do a curtain call for that one. That one's real depressing. But I
loved it.
I love depressing shows. They're my favorite. Oh gosh. Okay. So we've done, who's your unsung hero?
So it was tricky because I one of mine was Kim Hunter Estella, but again, she won an Oscar. So, but Alex North, the composer, I think is
okay.
I really, really like the music. I just do. It really, it helps build the world. It's very moody, but it overpowers when it needs to and doesn't when it shouldn't. I think it's used really well.
Had I not chosen Eunice, mine was Alex North. That's who I have written down. But as I had to talk about my girl, and she's just my favorite, so it's got to be her. But we would have had the same one had I not just been, chaotic. Oh gosh. Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about method acting in this?
Sure.
Because I have gone on record that I hate method acting. And the interesting thing about this movie is that Marlon Brando kind of introduced method acting to Hollywood, and it became it's a new this movie is one that you can look at to see old acting being Vivian Lee's type of acting versus more modern day acting, which is Marlon Brando acting.
Yeah, this is the American version of the Stanislavski method, right? Yep. So Lee Strasberg and Uta Hagen and Sanford Meisner and all those guys, and Elia Kazan too. Like they all go work with the Moscow Art Theater. They come back and then they do their own version of it, which is close, but it's their own thing. But they really hit on the emotional recall, the magic if. Yeah. And they start the method really in the 40s and 50s was just more about like playing the moment for real, right? Yeah. It's less like it. Yeah. It's less. I mean, I think quite bluntly and quite honestly shat on SLO a bunch over the pods. Yes. I think Sir Laurence Olivier is too performative. I don't like that old. I don't like fans.
That. I don't think on this pod. I think we can say, he
has
to prove himself to us. And he hasn't yet.
And I just don't like that style of acting.
He's turning over in his grave, Larry is.
He sounds like he was kind of a dick too.
I'm fine with that.
So, but like this version of the method, I'm all for it because to me it's this idea of acting, being about how good of a liar you are to how good of a truth teller you are. And to me, that's the difference. And basically, like, I think it's in the 70s. Like, it's basically like Dustin Hoffman trying to stay awake in Marathon Man. That's when it starts. And it really, like, the dial is completely turned over with DDL in My Left Foot. And once we get that, that's when we start to get then DDL does the same thing for Last of the Mohicans. He does it for Lincoln. We start to get like your Joaquin Phoenixes and your other people who try to do it as well.
Leonardo DiCaprio's sleeping outside in a bear carcass.
And so I'm all for the Brando, the Lee J. Cobbs, the Jessica Langs of the, of trying to make it feel as real as possible, to try to bring up the honesty of it. But the don't call me by my name, I'm only going to go by this off.
The Jared Leto's of them all, and Joker, not Joker, in the Suicide Squad, sending bullets and dead hamsters to people.
But I'm all for this. I'm all for the streetcar version of this. Yeah.
My thing with this, and it's I read an interview from Elia Kazan in like the 80s or something where he said, I did whatever was necessary to get a good performance, including so-called method acting. I used to run around set. I scolded them. I inspired jealousy with their girlfriends. The director is a desperate beast. You don't deal with actors as dolls. You deal with them as people who are poets to a certain degree. And that's where I draw the line for myself. If an actor is doing this, okay, but we still want safety on set. If a director and again, I feel like I can speak on this because I'm an actor and I've been doing it for a long time. I've been acting since I was like 13 years old and I'm 36. So I've worked with a lot of people. If an actor or if a director is trying to make me uncomfortable, I'm done. I'm out of that set. And this is far too common even nowadays with directors. This is something that people fall back on when they're like, I'm not a good enough director to direct people, so I have to make them uncomfortable in order to elicit a response. And that's where I'm not okay with it. That's where I'm like, this is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there is it's finding the balance. You know, it's so funny. So my senior project as an undergrad was directing Closer. I don't know if I'd ever told you that. Did I tell you?
Yes, you did, because Melissa did the really cool, the costuming thing where it was like taking off different articles of the suit, right? And then ended up in the
one of the characters. Yes.
Like Melissa's brilliant. Like, what a fucking cool thing to do. Yeah.
But there was a scene, it's the scene between Dan and Larry when they're, you know, it's the, you ever seen a human heart? It looks like a fist wrapped in blood.
Yeah. Such a good scene. Like literally such a good scene. I want to play Dan just so I can be in that scene.
So the two guys in the scene, it wasn't that friction, the furiousness of it. It wasn't there. And I was talking to my directing advisor and I was like, I don't know how to get the performance up, right? Because I'm not gonna like yell. I know I'm not gonna yell at them. Like, do better. And so he goes, well, try this. And he goes, talk to them separately and find out something that they don't like. And then tell the other one about that. And then see how it happens. So I remember I talked to the guy who was playing Dan and I was like, hey, Jordan, what's something that irritates you? And he goes, I don't like being poked in the chest. And I was like, cool, great. So then we rehearse a little bit and then we take a break and I talk to the guy playing Larry. I go, Evan, what's something that you don't like? What irritates you? He goes, I don't like being called kiddo. It's like, great. So then I've told the other ones that they don't like this. And I say, at some point in the scene, you have to do this thing. And they don't know why. I've told them that's what I want them to do. So they're doing the scene. And at one point, the Dan character goes, because he has the line, do you think love is a game? And he goes, do you think love is a game, kiddo? And Evan he's at the desk and he's writing something and he hears it and he drops his pen and he looks at him. And it's a look I'd never seen him give before. He is so fucking pissed off. He is so upset. Yeah. And then when because then I blocked him to when he does, have you ever seen a human heart? It looks like a fist wrapped in blood. So he gets up and instead of doing the blocking as I told him, he gets up and he gets right in his face and he goes, have you ever seen he gives him 3 hard pokes in the chest and then does this. And all of a sudden the scene now it's on fire and they get done and we go cut and they look at each other and they were both like, I fucking hate you a little bit right now. And then they look at me and I was like, but how'd the scene go? And like, I had a smile on my face. And at the end, they were like, it was good.
Yes.
And so there's this balance, right? Of like, we got to dip our toes in the waters, right? But we don't have to like jump into being unsafe. And that was like the coolest bit of advice I was given as a director was like, it's okay to blend like the actor and the character and like find those things within reason.
Yes. Well, and you did that in a safe way. You did that in a way where it wasn't like somebody said, I am so uncomfortable with this that if somebody did this to me, I would walk off set. And you would never have put them in a position to do that. For me, it probably would have been like if somebody pats me on the head or tells me, hey, it's all good. That is something. If I am already feeling like stressed out and someone goes, hey, it's all good. I'm like, I'm going to fucking punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. I'm allowed to feel this way. So that's what if you had asked me, I would have been like, someone tell me to calm down or that it's all good. I will. Mom, I love you. But when you tell me that, I get really upset. And she tells me that.
Somebody inadvertently did that on a show in grad school. I don't even know how it was not even, we weren't even at rehearsal. Somebody asked me, it was like, and they were like, it was like, you know, off the cuff. It's like, what bugs you? It was like, I go, honestly, I hate having to repeat myself. And then so later that night at rehearsal, I did a line and somebody said the line and I did my next line and they said, sorry. And so I said the line. So I said it again. And then they go, I don't think I got that. And then I was like, I both as actor and as the character knew what they were doing. And I was like, And then I said it as slow and like clear as possible. And then they smirked and I was like,
you fucker.
And there we go.
Fucker. Oh, that's so good. See, and you can do it safely. But there are so many times where it's not safe because a director, I don't know, like, well, honestly, we talk about Stanley Kubrick all the time, but like Stanley Kubrick didn't do it in ways that were appropriate.
No, you know, I bring this up because I think I showed it in class, but like in Chinatown, like Jack Nicholson smacks Faye Dunaway like dozens of times in that movie.
It's interesting because I just did a podcast earlier today about David Lynch, and we did Lost Highway, and you telling me that just reminds me of how safe people felt on David Lynch's sets, and he was able to elicit some really intense performances out of people. And also it makes me think of a clip I saw where he's trying to get Naomi Watts to slap Kyle MacLachlan. And she's like, I can't do that, David. And he goes, no, go ahead. Just tap me, slap me. And she's like, I can't. And he's like, no, go ahead. Just a little bit like that. And so she does it to him and he goes, it's fine. You'll be okay. And she's like, I can't do that. And he goes, okay, you don't have to. And just, they continue on with the scene, you know? And like, Kyle's even like, Naomi, come on, we're good. You can slap me. And she's like, I can't do it. And she like, just you can elicit that. You can elicit a slap without forcing somebody to actually slap the shit out of their coworker. Like, I got slapped on stage during Closer and it elicited quite a response from me, but not a good one. It wasn't pleasant. It was pretty awful. And my scene partner very sweetly afterward was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. It happens. Like, it's okay. But in that moment when I got slapped, I was like, how fucking dare you? Like, how dare I think it was the best acting I did in the whole show when I got slapped. But it wasn't acting. I was just genuinely so angry. Oh God. Yeah, that was Alice was a rough role.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah. But all right. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I feel like, honestly, I would talk about theater with you for ages, Adam. So
I know. The only thing I would say, the last thing is, it was a cool thing in the book about one of the more recent productions, Jameer Jenkins, who is like, I think she wasn't the first Black actress to do it on Broadway, but she's one of the few to do it on Broadway. And they talked about in their production, one of the things they played with was, in terms of Stanley plotting this, that Stanley recognized her from driving around, and that almost from the beginning, he already, like, he knows that he's seen her somewhere, and that it just takes him a bit to kind of like, wait a minute. And then after he finally does it, it's like, it's something that he's been aware of almost from the beginning.
That's so good. That's so good.
I really like that.
Well, because one of the things, this just brings me back to the fact that Brando, needed to go and sit in every chair and touch everything on set. He also brought condoms to set that were Stanley's condoms. And someone was like, why does he have that? And it's like, because he's not faithful. That's why.
Yeah. Stanley's
not faithful to his wife. And it's never explicitly said in the script, but that's how Brando's playing it. And that makes sense. Oh, that's so good. Like,
I like that too. I thought that was a really cool way of interpreting that.
Well, I think that the really incredible thing about this script is that you can interpret all of these characters in so many different ways. Yeah. They're so full of life, but also blank canvases at the same time that you can kind of build your own interpretation of as you play them. Can't wait to play Eunice one day. It's gonna be great.
There you go. There it is.
Okay, well let's ask the question. A Streetcar Named Desire is currently in the book. So right, it is.
It is. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I was like, it is. They didn't take it out, right? So Adam, do you think A Streetcar Named Desire should be in the book of 1001 movies you must see before you die?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so
absolutely. And to me, it's a great one to, like, you know, to, if you dig into it, you get to learn about Kazan, you get to learn about the method, you get to learn about Tennessee Williams.
Yeah.
And if you've never experienced, like, the Hays Code is the Hays Code, but if you want to research into like how something has changed because of the Hays Code, it's another really cool,
yes,
you know, and it just proves that theater has always been cooler in terms of like, always this was cooler. Staged, but make it a film. Oh no, God no. But God, yes, this movie is phenomenal. It's one of only 3 films to win 3 acting awards. It should be the only one to have won all 4, but whatever. But
that was
it's
an
a cool
oversight.
piece. It's a cool piece of film and theater history that just happens to have a really great film version of it. So absolutely, it should be in the book.
I totally 100% agree. If this wasn't in the book still, I'd be like, what are we doing there? No, it needs to be in there. No, everybody should see this. Even if you're not a theater person, even if you're not a film person, this is just a genuinely good movie. Performances are incredible. The production value is amazing. Just do it. Don't let the fact that it's from like 1951 stop you, because it's better than half the movies I saw this year, and probably more than half. Like it's incredible. It's one of those ones where it's like Night of the Hunter, where I was like, why haven't I seen this before? So yeah, I love this movie. I'm so glad that I, was kind of forced into choosing it, because this has been a really awesome conversation. I'm really sad that Joey wasn't a part of it.
God damn it, Joey. God.
I know. I really wanted Joey's non-theatrical.
I've got family plans. I can't, like, whatever.
Oh no. God damn it. Why you gotta be a good dad, Joey? Jeez.
Yeah.
But that's okay. What are we doing next week? Because I have no idea.
So next week, I believe, is a me pick, and it's a movie that I don't think any of us have seen.
I know what this is now.
We're going to Italy, and we're going to see Cinema Paradiso.
I'm so excited about this one. I'm actually, by the time this comes out, I think I'm okay to say this, I'm surprising my best friend in Chicago next week. I'm flying out to go see Labyrinth for the 40th anniversary in cinema. But I also think I'm going to make everybody watch Cinema Paradiso with me, because they're all film people. So I think they'll be totally on board with it. So it's going to be really snowy and cold in Chicago when I watch this.
Oh, the Midwest is not kind. Yes, get ready.
Adam, I'm going to die. Like... I'm gonna die. Sean was telling, because, I had said like, hey, we're thinking of coming out this time. He was like, this is the worst time to come out, but I will be so happy if you do. Please buy these clothing. And so like we got a bunch of heat tech stuff. I think we spent more money on that than we did on our plane tickets, because we got like shirts, we got tights. This is pathetic. I was wearing my new tights. They were like $25. And I was like, well, I should see if they actually work. It's, 35 degrees or whatever. And I was running to the ferry on Vashon, because we had 5 minutes to get there and we didn't want to wait 70 minutes for the next ferry. And I tripped and fell and skinned my knee. Did not run those tights. Those tights are perfectly fine. So
there you go.
Worth the $25. I'll be wearing those in Chicago as well. Probably when we watch Cinema Paradiso. Who knows?
There you go. So Cinema Paradiso is next. And thank you for listening. You can find us in all the places where you listen or watch.
We're on YouTube now.
We're on all the socials, so check us out, follow us, give us a message, give us a like, all that good stuff.
Let us know.
But until next time.
Let us know who you'd play in Streetcar Named Desire,
Oh, Joey would be Mitch, right?
100%. He'd absolutely be Mitch, and he'd be such a good Mitch. I think that he just has the heart for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So yes, tell us that too. But
tell us why you think that Joey would be a really good Mitch.
But I'm Adam.
I am Britt.
And we will see you for Cinema Paradiso.